Yes, y'all, it is me, High Tech, back with another super necessary video. This time talking about some Resident Evil. I figured there's some good news to share. I'm a little late to the party because, you know, just busyness, but excuse me. But there's some really good news surrounding Resident Evil, and I'm not talking about Resident Evil 9. I am talking about the Resident Evil Classic Trilogy on PlayStation 1. They made those games available. Sony made them available finally for us to play in some official capacity. Kind of for free, sorta. I'll explain what I mean by that. But yes, we do have a way to finally play these classic games after not really having any kind of way outside of having original hardware. We can finally play them now, which is badass. So originally, only Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut was available on the PlayStation Plus store, but it was only available to those who had, I want to say it's the extra membership of PlayStation Plus. So you kind of need that games, you know, the games catalog to play. It might even be like the third tier. I'm actually not entirely sure, and I'll explain why I'm not very sure about that. But yeah, so you could only play the first game, and they only had the first game available. And it was kind of bummed me. It kind of bummed me out because I remember there was one time I was really wanting to play or show my girlfriend, you know, the classic Resident Evil games, and I was hoping I could find, you know, all three on the PlayStation Store, and then I realized that they were not. Only the first one was available, and not only that, it was kind of locked, like I said, behind the extra tier of membership. And so now Sony finally decided, instead of kicking you in the nuts this time, they want to rub your nuts and they want to make you feel good because it's kind of sort of for free. And what I mean by that is if you purchased Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3 back in the day, on the PS3 days, if you purchased them from the PlayStation Store, they still honor those purchases from back in the day. So if you bought those games way back then, if you go on the PlayStation Store right now and check it and look for those games, they will be free to you. I am the living proof of that because once upon a time, I had a PlayStation Vita and I bought Resident Evil 2 and 3, and apparently the first one, I don't remember buying the first one, but I bought all of them because I'm a big Resident Evil guy. I used to speedrun that shit. I'm telling you, I used to get down on some Resident Evil. And so I heard about the news, you know, it was August 19th. They said they were made available on the store, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it out, and I want to see if these games are, you know, they're free like the people were saying, at least for the ones who bought it. And sure enough, I searched them up, and they were free to download. So I now have Resident Evil 1 through 3, the classic PS1. They're the PS1 editions, right? So it's not like the PC ports or anything like that. And it's also worth mentioning that they're not like, it's not like a remaster or a re-release or anything like that. It's simply just the emulated version of the classic PlayStation 1 game. Speaking of emulation, when you play these games, they kind of do have some neat little features that they added. They're pretty much new. You know, when you start up the game, you push the options button, and it brings up like it's like a diet emulation menu. I don't know if for those who are familiar with emulation, you know, you have a menu to fine tune and like adjust your settings, you know, graphics and, you know, aspect ratios and just like, you know, all that nerdy computer stuff. They have a really, really neat, it's small and it's very functional and simple diet emulation menu. So when you press options, it brings up a menu. It has a rewind feature, kind of like, you know, these newer collections and these emulated versions of classic games have. So you can like rewind if you screw something up or whatever, you can just like rewind it in real time. So that's kind of neat. I think that's really cool. They have options to change some of the graphics filters. You can add kind of like that old school like CRT kind of filter. You have another kind of like pixel perfect filter. There's not too many, but there's a couple just cool ones to just mess with a little bit. You can even adjust the region of which the game is. So you could either do the NTSC region of the game or the PAL version of the game, which has a really ass water frame rate, which I don't know why anyone would want to play on the PAL version. Maybe if you grew up on the PAL version, that's just nostalgic to you. But the PAL version, it is available, just things like that. Just little things. It's just simple stuff like that, just to kind of keep the game just, not just a little more, I guess, modern and updated, because these are old games. Like, these are the old survival horror games, really slow paced. You got, like, you have to save, and if you don't save on the typewriter with your ink ribbons, and you're kind of screwed. So the rewind comes in handy. There's no, they still have the old door loading sequences, which you cannot skip because, again, like I said, it's not the PC version or any other version that has like cutscene or door skips. These are the PlayStation versions of the games. So Resident Evil 2, I believe it's just regular old Resident Evil 2. It could be the DualShock one. I think that was just DualShock, but just vanilla. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is just vanilla Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And the first game is Resident Evil Director's Cut, but it's not the good one. So it doesn't have the song. You know which song I'm talking about. It doesn't have the song or the rest of the music for that matter. So, people like me kind of got to play it and just, drink up the salty tears as we do it. But it's all right, dude. There's other means to play it. But I'm just really glad that these games are available, especially for big fans like myself. And, I figured this is some really good news to share. I want everyone to be aware of this. So if you bought the games back in the day, go and re-download them. And if you haven't bought them back in the day, well, I guess they're available for you to play now. And even then, I think that's good, because outside of that, you have to play the PC version. And the PC version is not exactly the most simplest way to obtain and play, but it can be done. Lots of mods on PC versions, but for those who are into the modding thing, I'm sure it won't have any trouble finding these games to play online. But for those who they don't have PCs and all they have is consoles, and they're like, dude, I don't have a PS1 and I don't have those games, but I remember playing them back in the day when I was a kid, this is for you guys. And I think this is really, really good news. We Resident Evil fans are eating good. We got RE9 on the way, and it's looking good. But that's today's super necessary video for you guys. There was just some good news I really wanted to share. I thought it was really, really important, just for those who appreciate games, grew up with games, especially like old school games, classic, pivotal, monumental games like Resident Evil. These are must-haves. These are must-plays. These are knowledge that you must know. All right. But hey, if I helped you out, if you're gonna go get these games right now, leave a like, leave a comment, say thank you, I love you, high tech, subscribe, all that good stuff, and enjoy playing the game, and also enjoy watching me play these games, because I have footage of these games, Resident Evil 1 and 2, up on the channel right now, available, full playthrough. No speed run, nothing like that. Go and watch me play and enjoy. And now that I actually have Resident Evil 3 to play, I'm gonna record a Resident Evil 3 playthrough for you guys too. We're gonna go through the whole thing all the way up to number 9. So, like I said, nothing but good stuff out here. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good day, you motherfucker.